We can wait for join. Okay, I think we can start. Okay. Hi guys. In the previous lesson, we talked about what an engine is and where it is used in daily life. We also learned that engines convert energy into motion and play a very important role in modern technology, uh, play a very important role in our daily lives. Now, in this lesson, we are going to look inside the engine and understand its main parts. An engine is not a single object, it is a system made up of many different parts working together. Each part has a specific function, and all of these parts must work correctly for the engine operate properly. To make this easier to understand, we can divide engine parts into two main groups. The first group is moving parts. Uh, these are the parts that move while the engine is running. They are responsible for creating and transferring motion inside the engine. The second group is fixed parts. These parts don't move, but they are still very important. They support the moving parts and help the engine work safely and efficiently. Okay, in this lesson we will first look at the moving parts of the engine and understand their functions. Then we will look at the fixed parts and we will see how they support the system. At the end of this lesson, you will have a clear understanding of the main components of an engine and how they work together as a system. So now let's start. Okay, uh, our first group is moving parts. As the name suggests, moving parts are the components that move when the engine is running. These parts are responsible for creating motion and transferring energy inside the engine. Without moving parts, the engine wouldn't be able to produce any movement at all. All moving parts work together as a system, and each one has a very important role. Okay, I think now we can talk about piston. The piston is one of the most important parts of an engine you can see in here. It is a cylindrical component that moves up and down inside the cylinder. The piston's main job is to compress their uh, air-fuel mixture and receive the force created during combustion. By the way, I will talk about pistons' duties in the next lesson, and you can understand better than this. When combustion happens, it creates high pressure. This pressure pushes the piston down. Then the piston moves back up again to repeat the cycle. 1 minute. Okay. This pressure pushes the piston down, then the piston moves back up again to repeat the cycle. So we can say that the piston converts pressure into movement. You can imagine the piston like a pump that moves up and down continuously inside the engine. Okay, next let's talk about the connection rod. You can see in here. The connection rod connects the piston to the crankshaft. Crankshaft is here. Its main function is to transfer motion. When the piston moves up and down, the connection rod carries this motion to the crankshaft. So it acts like a bridge between the piston and the crankshaft. Without the connection rod, the piston movement couldn't be used effectively. Now let's talk about crankshaft. The crankshaft is one of the most important moving parts in the engine. Its main function is to convert linear motion into rotational motion. This means it takes the up and down movement of the piston and how can I say, turns it into circular motion. This rotation is what ultimately moves the wheels of a vehicle. So we can say that the crankshaft is responsible for producing usable motion from the piston's movement. Without the crankshaft, the engine couldn't produce rotation. Okay, now let's talk about camshaft. The camshaft is another important moving part in the engine. Its main job is to control the opening and closing of the valves. The camshaft rotates, and as it rotates, it pushes the valves open at the correct time. Then the valves close again. This timing is very important for the engine to work properly. So we can say that the camshaft controls the timing of the engine. I think now we can talk about valves or manifolds. By the way, normally manifolds are fixed parts, but I will explain this in moving parts because I think you can understand better in this way. Valves are also moving parts because they open and close during engine operation, like I said. There are two main types of valves in engine. The first one is the intake valve. I will talk about more deeply in next lesson about intake and exhaust. The intake valve allows the air-fuel mixture to enter the cylinder. The second one is the exhaust valve. The exhaust valve allows burnt gas to leave the cylinder after combustion. These valves open and close at the correct time to control the flow of gas. Without valves, the engine couldn't take in fresh air or couldn't remove exhaust gas. Now I will talk about how all these moving parts work together. The piston moves up and down inside the cylinder. The connection rod transfers this motion to the crankshaft. The crankshaft converts this motion to into rotation. At the same time, the camshaft controls the valves, which open and close to allow air and fuel in and let exhaust gas out. All of these movements must be perfectly synchronized. If one part doesn't work properly, the whole system can fail. That is why all moving parts are very important. They should be synchronized. Okay, now I will talk about something important. All these moving parts are constantly in motion when the engine is running. They move very fast and repeat the same cycle many times per second. You can say devir in Turkish. Because of this, they need proper lubrication to reduce friction. If there is too much friction, parts can wear out or get damaged. That is why engineers use oil to keep moving parts working smoothly. Okay, now I will make simple summary of the moving parts. The piston moves up and down and creates motion. The connection rod transfers motion. The crankshaft converts motion into rotation. The camshaft controls timing, and the valves control the flow of air and gas. All these parts work together to make the engine function as a system. Okay, now we will look at the fixed parts of the engine and understand how they support these moving components. Okay, fixed parts, as you can understand, are the components that don't move when the engine is running. Even though they don't move, they are very important because they support the moving parts and form the structure of the engine. Without fixed parts, the engine wouldn't have a stable system and the moving parts wouldn't be able to function properly. So we can say that fixed parts provide strength, support and protection for the engine. Now let's look at the main fixed parts one by one. First, talk about cylinder. The cylinder is the space where the piston moves up and down. We can say motor bloğu in Turkish. It is a very important part because it is where combustion happens. It is where combustion happens. The cylinder must be very strong because it has to handle has to handle high pressure and high temperature during engine operation. The inner surface of the cylinder is very smooth to allow the piston move easily. So we can say that the cylinder provides controlled space for the piston and combustion process. Okay, now we can talk about engine block. The engine block is the main body of the engine. It holds many important components together, including the cylinders. We can think of the engine block as the foundation of the engine. It supports both moving and fixed parts and keeps everything in the correct position. The engine block is usually made of strong metal so that it can handle heat, pressure and mechanical stress. Without the engine block, the engine wouldn't have a solid structure. Okay, I think now we can talk about cylinder head. The cylinder head is located on the top of the engine. It closes the top part of the cylinder and creates a sealed space where combustion can happen. The cylinder head also contains important components such as valves and the spark plug. I will talk about spark plug more deeply. These are buji in Turkish. So it plays a key role in controlling the combustion process. We can say that the cylinder head acts like a cover that seals the system and allows proper engine operation. Okay, I think that's enough for cylinder. Now we can talk about spark plug. The spark plug is a small but very important component. Its main function is to ignite the air-fuel mixture inside the cylinder. It creates a spark at the right moment, which starts the combustion process. Without the spark plug, the fuel wouldn't burn, and the engine wouldn't produce power. Even though the spark plug creates a spark, it doesn't move like mechanical parts, so it is considered a fixed part. Okay, uh, now I will talk about how these fixed parts work together with moving parts, how these fixed parts supporting the moving parts. The cylinder provides the space for the piston to move. The engine block holds everything together. The cylinder head seals the system and contains important components. The spark plug starts the combustion process, uh, and at the end, all of these parts work together to support the moving parts and allow the engine to function properly. Uh, Now let's continue with another important point. Fixed parts must be very strong and durable. This is because they are constantly exposed to high temperatures and pressures. If these parts are not strong enough, the engine can be damaged or fail completely. That is why engineers designed these parts carefully using strong materials. Now let's make a simple comparison. Moving parts create motion, while fixed parts support and control the system. Both are equally important. Without moving parts, there will be no motion. Without fixed parts, there will be no structure or control. So the engine only works properly when both types of parts work together. Okay, now I will make summarize what we learned in this section. Fixed parts are the components that don't move. You can understand it. They provide structure, support, and protection. The cylinder is where the piston moves. The engine block is the main body. The cylinder head seals the system. The spark plug ignites the fuel. All these parts work together to support the engine system. Okay, uh, I think that's enough for this lesson. Okay, now let's uh, conclude this lesson. Today we learned about the main parts of an engine and how they are grouped. First we talked about the moving parts. These are the components that create and transfer motion inside the engine. We learned about the piston, connection rod, crankshaft, camshaft, and valves. And we saw how each of them has a specific role in producing movement. Then we moved to the fixed parts. These parts don't move, but they are very important because they support the engine structure. We discussed the cylinder, engine block, cylinder head, and spark plug, and we understood how they help the engine work safely and efficiently. One of the most important ideas in this lesson is that an engine is a system. No single part can work alone. All parts, both moving and fixed parts, must work together in a synchronized way, in a coordinated way. The moving parts create motion, while the fixed parts provide support, structure, and control. If one part fails, the whole system can be affected. So every component in the engine is important. Okay, uh, understanding these basic parts, we are building a strong foundation for learning how engines actually work. Okay, in the next lesson, we will go deeper and learn how these parts work together step by step during engine operation. and I will talk about piston types, for example intake, exhaust, power, like this. Okay, thank you for listening. That's all for this lesson.